4 now. I mean, it's been an up and down season so far, hasn't it, Freddie?
Yeah, it definitely has. We had a good run at the start of the season. Players coming in and out a little bit through the midway. We've lost a couple of points through those games, but I think we're finding our stride again, which is really good to see.
You've got a couple of key players coming back too. Meg McLaughlin, for instance.
Yeah, Meg's been a great addition to the team. She came off the bench against CFC in our last clash, but hopefully she'll be starting this weekend, and she's going to be a great addition, I think.
Yeah, what has been the key do you always think for turning things around?
We've also got a couple of key players that are coming back in defence, and I think that takes a lot of pressure off our midfield. So our midfield don't have to work as hard in defence, and they're able to attack and feed balls through to the likes of Meg.
How do you go coming up against people like Gill, who you've played with Canberra United?
Oh, I love it. It's always a great competition. We obviously haven't played against each other a lot, more with each other, but even through trainings and things, Grace has always been a great competitor of mine, so it's good to see we'll be up against each other again this week.
You speak about that defence working a lot better and that midfield not having to work so hard, but at the same time I think coming off like a 9-1 scoreline last weekend as well, so pretty happy with that front forward as well.
Oh, definitely, and like I said, I think that taking the midfield off the pressure in defence and allowing them to attack through and have that confidence to be able to sit a little bit higher, to be able then to feed through to our attackers. Meg got definitely a couple of goals the last game that we had, which was a great help. Again, it takes the pressure off the defence. If we do let a goal or two in, we know that our attackers can back us up with scoring some. How
do you guys approach a game like this where they've won the last 8 in a row? How do you approach something like that?
I think just like any game, it's always going to be a tough battle. I think this year in the Premier League, every game is tough, and there isn't any teams that are sort of are going to be an easy win, and also not going to be a definite defeat. So I think it's really important that we just stay focused throughout the week, leading into games like this, so that we can get a good result.
Do you guys approach it attacking FC as if they do have a bit of a target on their back?
I don't think so. Obviously at training we might talk about key plays that we'd like to shut down, or areas that we'd like to prevent the ball from coming into. But other than that, it's just business as usual.
What do you put the big score lines down to? I think it was a 16-0 one the other day in the competition. What do you put that down to?
I think probably sometimes a little bit of inexperience in some teams, if they don't have those leadership players to be able to step up and say, no, this is what we're doing, there's not going to be any more goals scored. I think sometimes that can have a bit of an effect on those larger goal score lines, but also a bit of momentum. So sometimes if teams get a little bit of momentum, especially in the women's games I've found, then they can just start to steamroll teams a little bit more.
Did you think a 9-1 scoreline was reflective of the game last weekend?
For us against Tuggeranong?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, but I think if Tuggeranong had got a couple of chances earlier on in the match, then it would have been a different scoreline. But because we were able, like I said, to get that momentum, it sort of deflates another team a little bit.
Do you think it's kind of unhealthy, I guess, for the competition to have those big disparities in the scoreline?
I think so. I think sometimes against a Deakin last time we played them, it was 3-1, and I was speaking to Grace earlier as I wasn't at that match, and she said that it probably wasn't indicative of the type of game it was. I think those large blowout games, it isn't as good for the league, but then sort of throughout the rest of the season there are very, very tight games, so that's sort of also to look at, which is a positive.
What did you miss last game for?
I was actually just overseas on a holiday, yeah, so missed that one for that reason, yeah.
Does it feel like you're kind of making up for lost time then?
A little bit. I was disappointed to miss that game, especially because it's early on in the season and I would like to have been there to help the team out. But we've got a full squad this weekend, minus Grace Mars, so yeah, we'll be looking forward to it.
Well, Grace, an interesting game, arch rivals. How do you feel about the game this weekend?
Feeling pretty positive about the game. Last time we played them was a pretty tough match. They're a really, really strong side, but we are feeling positive about the game. We haven't changed too much going into this weekend. We just know it'll be a tough hit out.
On a bit of a roll, 8 in a row?
Yeah, very positive as well. It's been a really great start to the season. We'd like to continue it, continue momentum going into the second round of the competition, and we're aware of how important that is into our confidence for the rest of the season as well.
Did you think you'd be in this position after losing the first game?
Good question, really. Belconnen are always a really hard team, so it was going to be a tough game in that first one against them, but not necessarily expecting to go 8 in a row, so I think it's been a really good start.
And you come up against a couple of players you've played with Canberra United, so you know a fair bit about them too, don't you?
Yeah, we do, and I know how strong they are, and I know how quality their fit out is across the field. And it's not just sort of their midfield; they've got really quality players across their back and in the front as well. So they're a really hard team to combat.
Do you guys take a bit of confidence, I guess, again, it was only a few rounds ago that you guys did come up. You said it was a tough game against them, but I think you guys came out 3-0 or something.
It was a 3-1 result in our last game against Olympic, and it was a really physical match. I remember feeling absolutely exhausted by the end of it. But we do know, and we are mindful of how quality a side they are across the whole field. They've got a really good midfield in there, and recently got Meg McLaughlin come back into the side as well, which is makes things difficult for us.